Hello, I'm Dan Shaw, and I'm with you today, well, virtually anyway, to talk about monroetalks.com, our experiment in social networking in Monroe. I'm the managing editor and director of new audiences, and I was part of the team at the Evening News that developed monroetalks.com. I'm going to talk about how we use the newspaper network or newspaper next process to create Monroe Talks, how we manage it, and what we're working on next. You'll also hear from our new media manager, Rob Gorsica, and from our programmer, John Castellisi. First, a little context. We have a news website just like most newspapers. This is what ours looks like. It features top news stories from our newspaper, breaking news, including a lot of breaking sports, photo galleries, and some multimedia projects. One thing that is different from many newspaper sites is the bottom right corner, which features feeds from the 5 most recent posts to monroetalks.com. On any given day, the range of topics discussed is amazing, as you can see in this shot. It's hard to check out the news without being sucked into the conversation. That's just what we had in mind when we created monroetalks.com last June, using the newspaper next concept of disruptive innovation. We did dozens of jobs to be done interviews with readers, and one of the things we found missing in their lives was a sense of community, a connection with other people. So we set out to create kind of an online version of the kitchen table, or a virtual office water cooler, kind of an e-backyard fence. In other words, we wanted to create a place for people to connect online. And that's exactly what is happening. monroetalks.com is less than a year old, and there are 2,500 registered users and about 12,000 unique visitors a month. They create an amazing 1.5 million page views a month, staying on the site an average of 13 minutes and 17 page views per visit. In any given time during busy periods, there often is a new post every minute or so. We're approaching 150,000 different posts since June. This is in a community of 150,000 people. Monroe Talks has 4 principal elements: talk forums, blogs, photo galleries, and an interactive calendar. The strategies we learned from Newspaper Next were instrumental in helping us decide what to put on the website. When we finished our jobs to be done research, we held a brainstorming session to start creating our own local version of a social networking site. We had dozens of ideas and no clear way of figuring out which ones made sense. That's where the good enough and invest a little to learn a lot concepts came in. We narrowed the list down to things we could do quickly and inexpensively. Thanks to open source software, we knew we could do talk forums and blogs and photo galleries and calendars. We knew there were open source solutions for all of these. Here's Rob to talk about how we pieced them together.
There's no way a small development team like ours could have created Monroe Talks. The decision to move several open source platforms together was one that saved us quite a bit of time and money. We started by identifying a variety of open source software for forums, photos, and calendars. We already had blogs on WordPress. We chose Drupal as the main platform, thinking initially that we would use it for forums too. But we decided that Simple Machines had more flexible forum software, so we switched to it, keeping Drupal as an overall platform. We chose Coppermind for photo galleries and Helios for the calendar. Helios isn't an open source software, but it's very inexpensive. After the site was built, we invited about 25 people to test the site. We made several small changes and some big changes. One of the big changes we made was moving to a separate calendar software that was easier and more user-friendly. Now here's John to talk about hosting issues that we've faced and are still facing.
monroetalks.com started on a standard shared hosting platform. After a few months, however, it outgrew this platform and was switched to a dedicated Tier 1 environment. In February 2008, we once again outgrew the resources available with our web server, producing some performance problems. So we again upgraded to a more powerful dedicated machine. That server currently serves our needs. The performance issues caused a temporary decrease in activity, but apparently have not impeded our overall trend of growth, as illustrated by this chart. Hosting has been a great concern for monroetalks.com so far, but the problems have produced invaluable lessons regarding the technological needs of this kind of project, as well as specific knowledge about remote server configuration and website efficiency. If the growth trend continues, we might find ourselves in need of an upgrade to the top package available with our hosting provider.
You may be thinking at this point, why was Monroe Talks so successful at drawing traffic? The simple answer is, we don't know. We worked hard on marketing. We spent roughly $20,000 on radio ads, billboards on buses, a fancy display at the county fair, and some small things like coasters at restaurants and t-shirts. We knew that we needed to reach non-traditional folks. Ads in the newspaper wouldn't be enough. We thought we had a great theme, monroetalks.com. Join the conversation. We don't know for sure what worked and what didn't, but an informal survey shed some light. I simply posted a question on Monroe Talks. How did you hear about monroetalks.com, and what made you start using it? In 2 days, there were 50 responses. It's not exactly a scientific survey, but it was darn interesting. Of the 33 measurable responses, 40% said they started using the forums on our news site, monroenews.com, and just switched over when we launched Monroe Talks. 27% said they noticed Monroe Talks on the monroenews.com site. 15% said they read promo ads in our newspaper, the Monroe Evening News. 3% said they were attracted by billboards on buses. 3% said they saw a coaster in a restaurant. The lesson, most people learned about Monroe Talks from monroenews.com, our website, which isn't surprising since it has 70,000 unique visitors in a month in a county with just 60,000 households. Now, here are some Monroe Talks users with their perspectives on why they use the website.
I first got involved with Monroe Talks basically back when it first started, and I've been online ever since. I really liked the interaction with the different people. I've met a lot of very good people. I've met a lot of very good friends. I've developed a lot of very close friendships on Monroe Talks. Many of the people I've eventually met in person. Not everyone, although there's quite a few people I'd still like to meet. Maybe I will, you never know.
I've been on Monroe Talks since day one. Came over from the Eyes and Ears forum, joined the first day, and been there ever since. So lots and lots of time online. Some watching, a lot participating. Met a lot of good people, some new friends. Found a couple old friends even. Try to get on every day, don't always make it. Some days I can spend more time than others.
In the beginning, I was a long-time lurker of Monroe Talks. I had to get up the nerve to start talking, and as I was lurking, I saw how people interacted with each other. I saw that everybody was very friendly. I mean, there was a lot of diversity and opinions, but that's what made it so attractive to me. And when I began talking, let's just say I couldn't stop. It's become one of my main things because I can interact with so many different people at one time.
MonroeTalks.com isn't without its challenges. Moderating an open talk forum with this much activity can be exhausting, even though we moderate very lightly. We probably delete about 4 to 5 posts a month, and we send about as many emails to folks asking them to be nice. And in 9 months, we've had half a dozen or so really tricky issues, the kind where we needed to delete a thread and explain why. Here are some of the lessons we've learned. First, make clear from the beginning that the forum belongs to the users. The online community needs to moderate itself. Second, moderate very lightly, but do step in when needed to restore order and delete inappropriate posts. Always explain why posts were deleted. Remind users of their responsibility to self-moderate. Set the tone. Use your news website to draw traffic. Put top posts on the news site. Cross-pollinate with other products. Regularly print posts from the forums in the newspaper, yes, even though they're anonymous, and send readers from news stories to the forums. This example shows a weekly feature in the Monroe Evening News highlighting posts on Monroe Talks. With Monroe Talks still riding an upward trend, we're looking at what's next for us. One thing that's clear is that Monroe Talks is just the beginning. It's one piece of the pie, but it's not the end game. We envision a group of websites, each fulfilling a different job to be done for consumers and businesses under one umbrella portal site. The possibilities are endless. There's some kind of a business review, user review site that helps people with that job to be done of finding the services that they're looking for. We're looking at some kind of a wiki, a living encyclopedia of life in Monroe County. We're going to have an interactive parenting site, something that really connects moms and dads. And we want some kind of a buy-sell site, some kind of a local version of Craigslist or Angie's List. And we're going to have a site devoted to volunteering in our community, a place to really help people get involved. You get the idea. A news site fulfills one job to be done, giving people information. Monroe Talks fills another job to be done, giving people a place to connect. There are lots of jobs to be done out there. What we're trying to do with our websites is to meet as many of those jobs to be done for folks as we can. Thanks for giving us a chance to show off Monroe Talks.